Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're tackling something literally none of us can avoid, no matter who you are or what you do. We're going to explore exactly how the dry text of the Kenyan Constitution translates directly into the very real numbers in your wallet. We'll be breaking down how the cost of living, rising taxes, and government power are completely tied together. Let's unlock the ultimate key to understanding how your money is managed at the absolute highest levels.
So, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at why taxes are rising. Second, Parliament making the laws. Third, the executive running the government. Fourth, checks, balances, and accountability. And finally, the power of voters. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Why are taxes rising, and how does this actually impact your everyday cost of living?
So let me ask you this. Why does life just keep getting more expensive? It's a reality we all feel, right? But instead of just looking at the economy as some big abstract thing, we really need to look at the systemic structure of our government to figure out who actually holds the levers to these price changes. Because somewhere, real decisions are being made.
Just think about your everyday expenses, fuel prices creeping up, the cost of food rising, value-added tax, or VAT constantly shifting around. If you run a biashara, your business expenses and operating costs are pretty much always fluctuating, not to mention your daily transport fares. Every single time you buy fuel or run your business, that financial reality you're dealing with didn't just appear out of nowhere. It's highly likely that Parliament directly influenced that exact cost. Yet most of us don't even realize just how much power our elected representatives have over these daily transactions.
Which brings us to Section 2, Parliament making the laws. This is exactly where the rules are written.
Right, so in Kenya, Parliament is split into two distinct parts, and they both play a massive role in debating policies that affect the entire country. On one side, you've got the National Assembly, which is made up of MPs representing your specific local constituencies. And on the other side, you have the Senate, with senators representing the broader interests of the counties. So, the crucial takeaway here is that whether you're looking at a superlocal constituency issue or a massive county-level priority, your voice is technically supposed to be represented in these two houses when huge national decisions are on the table.
Let's break down exactly how Parliament actually influences your money in 3 clear steps. First off, they're the ones debating the laws and national policies. Second, they have the ultimate power to approve government budgets and public spending. They literally decide where the nation's cash goes. And third, and this is the one you probably feel the most, they have the power to pass the finance bill. Whenever new taxes are introduced or old ones are bumped up, whether that's on fuel, digital services, or imports, that is Parliament at work. The decisions made in those chambers hit ordinary Kenyans almost immediately.
Moving right along to Section 3, the executive running the government. We've talked about the lawmakers, but who actually implements these laws? Well, here is the structure of the national executive. Right at the top, the president is the head of state and government, the commander-in-chief, and the person directing the ministries. Right below that is the deputy president, serving as the principal assistant and deputizing the president's functions. Then we have the cabinet secretaries. There have to be between 14 and 22 of these officials, and notably, they are not members of parliament. Their entire job is strictly to implement specific laws and run government departments. Now, what's really fascinating about the executive's composition is a specific mandate in the Constitution. It absolutely must reflect the regional and ethnic diversity of the people of Kenya. It's built right into the supreme law.
Now, alongside those cabinet secretaries, the executive includes a few really crucial nominated positions. One of them is the Attorney General. They're the principal legal advisor to the government. But beyond just giving legal advice, the Constitution hands the Attorney General a massive responsibility. They are explicitly tasked with promoting, protecting, and upholding the rule of law, and actively defending the public interest.
Another incredibly vital office is the Director of Public Prosecutions, or the DPP. This is an independent office with state powers of prosecution, which means they can direct police investigations into criminal conduct. And the key word here is independent. The DPP does not need anyone's consent or authority to start criminal proceedings. They don't answer to any other person or authority. They act as a vital, independent safeguard against the abuse of the legal process. And that independence perfectly sets up our broader theme of keeping government power balanced.
Which perfectly leads us into Section 4, checks, balances, and accountability, keeping all this power in check.
The framers of the Constitution essentially designed a dynamic tension between the branches of government so that no single group could have absolute control.
Here's how that works in practice. Parliament's job is to make the rules, approve the budgets, and importantly, investigate any misuse of public funds. On the flip side, the executive's job is to implement those laws, manage national security, and actually spend the budgets that Parliament just approved. So basically, Parliament creates the financial boundaries, the executive operates within them, and then Parliament comes right back through its committees to oversee and audit how that money was actually spent.
However, we have to be real for a second and look objectively at the everyday challenges and public frustrations with this setup. Oftentimes, there's a very visible tension between political interests and the genuine public interest. We see issues like blatant absenteeism during crucial legislative sessions when important votes are happening. We frequently see party loyalty totally overriding a member's duty to represent the actual citizens of their constituency. And we often get these highly heated political debates that make for fantastic television, but completely overshadow actual leadership performance and the duty to protect citizens from financial strain.
But what happens when the highest levels of the executive grossly violate the law? Well, the Constitution has a pretty extreme mechanism for this. Impeaching a president under Article 145 is the ultimate check on power, and it's a severe, multi-step process. First, a National Assembly member moves a motion that needs at least one-third support. Second, the full Assembly votes, requiring a huge two-thirds majority. Third, it gets sent to the Senate, which forms a special 11-member committee to investigate the charges. Finally, if it's substantiated, the Senate votes, and they also need a two-thirds majority to actually remove the president from office. And just so you know, this rigorous standard applies to the deputy president too.
And that accountability extends right down to the cabinet as well. Cabinet secretaries are accountable to the president, sure, but they are also accountable to Parliament. If a cabinet secretary commits a gross violation of the Constitution, commits a serious crime, or is guilty of gross misconduct, Parliament can form a select committee to investigate. If the National Assembly ultimately votes with a majority against that secretary, they can quite literally force the president to dismiss them.
Finally, we reach Section 5, the power of voters. This is where authority actually begins.
After looking at all this massive government machinery, we arrive at what we can honestly call the ultimate systemic contradiction. Citizens frequently and understandably complain about rising taxes, a brutal business environment, and poor public services. But the reality check here is that the leaders in Parliament approving these budgets and the leaders in the executive managing them were elected and put into power by those very same citizens. Just ignoring Parliament doesn't stop Parliament from affecting you. They literally hold the pen that dictates your monthly budget. The Constitution makes this hierarchy absolutely undeniable. Article 129, Clause 1 states it plain as day, executive authority derives from the people of Kenya and shall be exercised in accordance with this Constitution. The people sitting in these offices do not own the power. They are merely borrowing it from you. The sovereign authority always remains with the Kenyan people, and it's meant to be exercised for your well-being and benefit.
So I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question to chew on. When you look at how laws are made and how taxes are raised, do MPs truly represent ordinary Kenyans? Or has Parliament just become way too political? And when voting, do people actually look at leadership performance, or do they just get swept up in the politics? I'd absolutely love for you to drop your thoughts on this in the comments. Think about what we've unpacked today and how it connects to your own life and your own biashara. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely make sure you tune in next time as we explore the judiciary, the branch that actually has to interpret all the laws we just talked about. See you then.